Hello there everybody, welcome to another episode with Real Estate Talk with Walter. Today I'm here with Blaine from REIWA, who's going to share a little bit about how his first few months at the Institute were and what we can expect in the month and years to come. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. All right, let's dive straight into it. So you've been here now for about 4 or 5 months. But when you first joined late last year, it didn't just happen from one day to another. How did you experience the lead-up time from having the first conversation to actually joining the Institute?
Yes, I was really fortunate because there was a period of time that I had prior to joining that I got the opportunity to meet with various members of the REIWA team. I also got to meet with some of the REIWA council members. And then also got some direct access to members. So I feel like I was very lucky in a way that I got all of that opportunity afforded to me before I joined. I really enjoyed learning about the history of REIWA. It's 109 years old, and certainly that legacy was really important for me to understand deeply. What does it mean to members? What does it mean to industry? What does it mean to community? And so really digging into that and understanding the role that REIWA's played as things have changed was really crucial. And then I also got the opportunity to go to a couple of events. So I went to the REIWA.com ball, so I got to see firsthand 1,200 REIWA members in a room celebrating success and celebrating the best in industry in terms of performance, which was great. And then I also attended our AGM, where Peter Lawrence got a Lifetime Achievement Award. And that really taught me quite early, how much real estate actually means to people, not just in terms of as a job, but actually in terms of how it integrates with their life. And so in some ways, I feel like I saw the full spectrum, the past, the present, and the future of REIWA all in the lead up to joining.
Okay, well, excellent. That's something that you wouldn't know without you sharing that with us today. So that seems like so much information just to get before even starting, and then of course the announcement comes, you join, and then it's really that train that you jump on. How was that for the first couple of months, and how did the industry react to your appointment?
Yeah, so look, I came to the organisation with no real estate background, so in some respects I had no choice but to really delve into the detail. But the organisation I'd worked with previously, they had entered new markets all the time. And so I was really trained in understanding a new industry, researching the legislation, understanding the processes and where people had to operate. So that was something that wasn't foreign to me. So I really just applied that skill set to the real estate sector. But look, in reality, what that meant was meeting with lots of people and doing a lot of listening. It wasn't clear to me coming in the perception that members had of REIWA, whether or not it was a valued business partner for them. And so I really wanted to understand. What I didn't appreciate coming in was, I suppose, the scale of the Institute in terms of the number of members, and then also the difference between some of the larger operators down to some of the one-man bands that operate. And REIWA really needs to be able to support every member, but sometimes those needs are very different. Then there's also the commercial part of the organisation, which is there to support members as well. That's the REI Forms Live, REIWA.com. So there's a lot to take in, but all that did really was just make me more excited about the business that I was joining and the impact that I could potentially make.
Okay, all right, well, excellent. That leads you to where you are today. You have a good understanding of what REIWA does and how they support their members and what their role is within the broader community and the industry. So what are the plans that you have for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, well, there's one really critical element that we've got to focus on in the next 6 months, and that's the rollout of anti-money laundering legislation. It's clear to me that whilst Western Australia is actually leading in terms of preparedness, there's still a long way to go. We've been working with a partner in First AML where we've endorsed their technology, and actually when you see the demo and understand how they operate that technology platform, it's really straightforward. But until that point, members are still asking a lot of questions around what does this mean, how do you implement these changes into an organisation. And certainly that's why we wanted to partner, because there's a business that's actually already done that and launched within a country like Australia, in New Zealand, so they've got a lot of learned experience. And so that's one thing, really making sure that we're communicating clearly, that we're there to support, that there's a load of assets available to members to tap into, so things like webinars and information packs, and really helping them digest things like the AusTrack Starter Pack. So that's a real practical thing around the legislative change. I think beyond that, it's been quite interesting joining an industry at the point where listings have been so low, and that's obviously creating a whole load of challenges within the member base. So understanding how we can help there is a second big focus. And then, we're not immune to the global change, which is the revolution around AI. And so I'm really keen to understand what role does that play within the Institute, what role does that play within industry, and how can we continue to advocate for sensible policy, but also help real estate agents leverage the capability and capacity that AI gives them. And there's a lot of unanswered questions in that space, but we're certainly working through our position and how we can help.
Yeah, okay, no, perfect. Yeah, it is a very a challenging time in the sense of trying to stay up to date with all the latest information and technology and updates and legislation. So it's good that we as members, we have someone to fall back on. At our office, it was the same thing. Like there was almost no questions asked. If it's first AML is recommended by REIWA, then let's go with it. We have no idea. We've never looked into this before, so that recommendation was good. And we had some meetings with them, and we were impressed. And we're on the journey with them as we speak. And we'll just go along and see where we go from there.
And I think also that what's really interesting is there was a lot of members that gave me that feedback. We were waiting to hear what REIWA advised us to do, and I just want our organisation to not take that for granted. Right. A lot of members rely on REIWA to help them make that critical assessment, and I think that we need to continue to promote the fact that we're going through that process to save members time, but also to give you confidence in the decision that you make. And certainly for me, historically, has REIWA always got that right? I can't say, but going forward, we definitely will be making sure that we're helping people through that decision-making process.
Yeah. And I can see that is definitely being implemented. I just saw the latest update about the REIWA Connect event and the different panels and industry speakers that you have, and it's nice and diverse. And I can see that there is that section for AML as well. So hopefully that will give people another opportunity to learn more and ask more and help us as an industry to prepare and do the right thing by buyers, sellers, and industry colleagues.
I'm really glad you raised Connect. It saves me shamelessly plugging it as part of this podcast, but the agenda we've got for Connect is fantastic. It's coming up in May, some really good speakers, a really good opportunity not just to understand things that are happening in industry, to network, to understand different technology vendors that are available to help support you. I've been really thrilled with the quality of the events that REIWA put on. I just want more people to understand that they're there and they're available. And the other thing for me as well is the reason we've been able to get such a good agenda and schedule is because we're really proactive in asking for feedback from our members. And I want to continue that as well in my time here, because it's so important that we have that feedback being delivered to us so that we can make the events much more catered for what members actually need and want. And so our events so far have been excellent, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to improve them every single time we get in front of members.
Excellent, perfect. All right, so let's go for a different view, and let's talk about the market at the moment. The market is a bit different than what we've probably expected. It's always the thing, right? We don't have a crystal ball, but it's the end of March now when this is being recorded, and in the first 3 months we have seen things that we would have never guessed that would have happened. How is the market reacting from both residential and commercial, and both rental and sales?
Yeah, so one of the things that people might not fully understand is that we have committee meetings with different sections of the REIWA member base. And so I get to hear firsthand from residential sales and commercial around some of the challenges, and the feedback has been that it's been really tough. And certainly you can just see it in the pure numbers. You know, a balanced market's probably somewhere around 10 to 12,000 active listings, whereas we're down at the 2,500 to 3,500 number. So there's not enough supply in the market. Now, there is some momentum around that. We are starting to see more supply come onto market, but it's not enough. And you know, there's so many things going on in the world that can drive that beyond the fact that we've actually just got a lack of supply in general. Unfortunately, based on the number of people migrating into Western Australia, the consensus is that there's not going to be immediate relief to that. But hopefully, with some sensible, government-led policy, we can start to see that soften a little bit and more listings come to market. But it'd be great to have a crystal ball. I just can't predict that. But certainly, what we're trying to do is to be there to support members where we can, because they are doing it tough, and it has been a really tricky first quarter.
Okay. So you mentioned just briefly now that government needs to assist and do something. How is REIWA advocating with government to try and provide that feedback to them and come up with solutions that will help us to get more stock and help to ease a little bit of pressure on the market?
Yeah, so every year we write some notes that supplement the budget process. And so we've been advocating for some sensible policies around things like stamp duty. So if we could look at stamp duty concessions for people downsizing, we think that would ease some of the congestion in the market. So that was one of the policies that we put forward. We also look at things like changes potentially to things like the Residential Tenancies Act, and we're advocating for sensible change within that framework. And so what we don't want to do is for any decisions to be made that have unintended supply consequences. And so we work with government to share our perspective. We're really fortunate in the fact that we've got lots of data that we can point to, either in Western Australia through REIWA.com or the experiences of other states and how things have unfolded when legislation's been rolled out, positively and negatively. And so we really go with a balanced view around what we think would be the best outcome for the community. We have regular meetings with government. It's really open and frank discussion. We really value the fact we've got a relationship with them, and we're really clear about our positions on that. So one of the things I think we can do better for our members is really surfacing and socialising what those positions are. And so that's a goal of the next year, to make it really clear that we're active and actually trying to control and drive positive change in the marketplace.
All right. Excellent. Well, on behalf of everybody, thank you for doing that for us. We'll get to the end of the interview, so I would like to ask if you have some final words for the members and the community in general.
Yeah, look, I think my learnings over the last 4 months have been that we've got this amazing legacy, and it's really important that we continue to build on that history, but we cannot let that hold us back. So we have to respect that legacy, but really modernise the Institute. The way in which real estate transactions occur now is fundamentally changing, and so I'm really focused on making sure that we can promote the profession. And in Western Australia, we've got some things in our favour here that will hold technology at bay. The median house price is really high. Culturally, it's expected that someone will be there representing you when you sell probably your biggest asset that you'll ever own. And so for me, those are two things that are fundamentally unique about this market, or maybe not unique, but certainly things that are present in this market. So for me, I really want to help amplify the profession, help lift the professional standards, be there to support members who need that support, and then hopefully in doing so, actually continue to build on the great 109-year brand that REIWA already has.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I will publish an article about this on my newsletter, and it will be on my socials as well. If you have a question for Blaine, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to facilitate an introduction. And thanks again for sharing your story with us.
Thanks, Walter. Cheers.
Cheers.